regular...
Kids!
What?
Stop. Get your popcorn.
Welcome back to Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. I am Jamie G. Say my name 3 times and see what happens. I dare you. Seriously, go ahead. Give it a try. I'm here with the Soup Deuce and Magnum Mills. We're doing a little sequel thing tonight because we're talking about Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. I might not be an official attorney in the eyes of the law, but even I know better than to say that name a 3rd time. Soup, are you ready to see what Mr. Juice has been up to and what's been going on the last 30 years?
Yeah, I mean, 30 years is a pretty good chunk, so I'm definitely interested in seeing what's been going on over a few decades there. Mr. Juice is flowing, dude, apparently. So yeah, looking forward to it, man. Let's dive in, dude.
You might even say he's on the loose, if you would.
I almost was going to go there, but that was the OJ thing back.
Yeah, it has a connotation now, but I mean, maybe it's even more interesting that it's a dude, a demon in hell that's saying it. And just everyone, listening, watching it, I'll save you the time. If you say Jamie G's 3 times, he appears next to you and he does a little lawyer commercial. It's fun and everything, but if you want to do it, go for it. I would say don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, but we hope that you do fall head over heels for Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Thank you very much for checking out the episode. You can find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the World Wide Web, dudeswatchstuff.com. Try to keep it very simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps. FLAPS. Very crucial to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure to press the thumb.
Before we head on down to the underworld, we've got some business to take care of up here, starting with the holes in this house. Mills, what have you been filling your holes with recently?
Well, Jamie G, we are checking out the 4th and final season of The Righteous Gemstones on Romancing the Gemstones, keeping up with that. Also keeping up with season 2 of Severance, which we are covering on My Cousin Innie. As far as stuff we are not covering regularly, watching season 3 of Yellow Jackets. They just dropped a banger, maybe the best episode of the show so far, a little bit over halfway through season 3. So if you haven't jumped back on the train, check that one out. Keeping up with the White Lotus season 3 over on HBO. It's fun. Much like the series always is, it's a lot of setup. We are halfway through the season. They usually get it done in the final stretch here, so I'm there for that. Still keeping up with Reacher on season 3 over on Prime. Got to keep my dad TV on there. Alan Rickson kills it. It's a nice, fun, dumb. Just put it on, so I don't mind the Reacher there. And I did see the season 3 finale of Invincible. I am past this point in reading the comics, so I knew it was going to happen. It was still absolutely amazing. Probably the best 2 episodes of the show ever, at least 2 of the top 3 or 4 for the final 2 in season 3. So if you haven't checked out Invincible on Prime, or you stopped after season 1 because there was such a gap between season 1 and season 2, make sure you're checking that out. I've been keeping up with that. Jamie G, what have you filled your holes up with? You've been keeping up with stuff. You got some new stuff. What do you got for us?
Yeah, keeping up with stuff, got some new stuff, and got a couple of variations of holes too. So I'm going to just start off with what I've been continuing. Obviously, if you guys follow us, we've been doing Severance, continuing that. Obviously, we've got the Gemstones, getting that going. But I've also been continuing Preacher over on Netflix. Wrapped up season 1. I'm in season 2. It's just fun. There's so much stuff going on. It's weird that this is a Seth Rogen show because it's just not really like anything he's done, but really cool. I've also been enjoying the SwearNet series, Trailer Park Boys. That's been a lot of fun too. I recently started, Mills, though, Mythic Quest. Checking out your guy over there. Started that, got through a couple of the first episodes. It's a good time. What can I say? It's fun. I can already tell there's really good side characters here that are going to develop. So pretty excited about that one. It's just a quick, fun one. If you're looking for a quick 30-minute, just good time, this is it. Really enjoy it.
You left their number on the bathroom wall, dude.
Yeah. Just call this number and check it out.
1-800-HOT-TINA.
Yeah. Really enjoying Mythic Quest. And then outside of the eye holes, I've been filling the ear holes. Getting pretty excited. Trey Anastasio has been doing his solo tour. It's been a lot of fun, man. I've been enjoying listening back to those things on the Live Fish app. They've been fun. I will be seeing him in April. Super pumped. It's just a different way to check out the music that I love. So it's been a lot of fun. He's been telling great stories and just just bringing joy to the world, man. So that's been a lot of fun filling that hole too.
See, I was expecting, I thought that we were going to get a little mouth hole or a nose hole here, but I will say that just randomly, because we were doing this and I was on the Max, and it's the cool thing I learned on Max. If you go to the search thing, that's where you can find the stuff that's leaving Max soon. And we're doing this, right? Willem Dafoe's in this. I'm like, you know what? I'll go back watch a Boondock Saints because it's leaving Max soon. Man, I have not watched that one in forever. Norman Reedus, you might know from the Walking Dead there. It's a very specific, very, very Boston flick, way over the top, but I hadn't seen it in forever, but god damn is William Dafoe good in that. So if you haven't checked out Boondock Saints before, the sequel, and another one we could probably talk about, although it definitely didn't come out as long past the gate of this one here. But yeah, the original Boondock Saints, a lot of fun if you haven't checked it out or checked it out in a minute. Soup, what do you have for us, man? What have you been filling them up with?
Yeah, man, good call on Boondock Saints, dude. That's one I haven't seen in a while, but definitely it's
Leaving Max in March, I think. So you got a minute here.
yeah, man, no doubt. I haven't had too much time to fill too many holes over the past since we met last time, but I did fill a couple, man. On Jamie G's recommendation, I started watching the Sausage Party Foodtopia. I was a fan of the movie, and I remember after I didn't know about it until you had said something, and then when I put it on, I was like, oh, I do remember seeing a trailer for this. So I got through the first couple of episodes, and I didn't make it through the whole season yet, but I'm looking forward to continuing that one. It's funny. It's what would you expect out of Sausage Party? I like it that it's like a direct continuation. It's like right there and just kind of goes with it. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing out of it so far, man. It's out there, man, but it's that Sausage Party, dude. So good call, man. It's a fun one. It's a fun one. Billy Corgan has got a new podcast. Well, no, it's not new anymore. It's a little bit older, a couple months or whatever. But the Magnificent Billy Corgan and the Magnificent Others, man. This thing's pretty cool. He's talking to musicians. I think the first one was Wolfgang Van Halen. He's had people high profile people on there. That's pretty interesting, man. Getting the stories and whatnot, with those guys and everything, man. That's been pretty cool as far as background shit, man. I also went ahead and finally put on the Joker Folie à Deux, the Joker sequel. Have you guys seen this one?
I have
No,
not
I have
yet.
not. It's also on Max. It was staring at me.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, even myself, hasn't taken the time to pursue it or check it out because I just heard nothing but like how bad it's been. So, but I don't really like to judge stuff on that. Anyway, whatever. It poked out there at me, man. So I put it on, and it's not as bad as people think, man. I mean, is it a great movie? Absolutely not. But it's a thinker. It's a lot like the first one, kind of. Like I was disappointed in the first one because I wanted a lot more action out of it, or any action really out of it, other than the little bit. And yeah, very little action, But so I wanted a little bit more of that out of this one too. And it feels like the same vibe as the first one, though, pretty much. And it was cool. It was good enough. I mean, I didn't hate it. A lot of people say it was one of the worst movies ever made. I wouldn't put it there, but for what it was watchable. It was fine. I don't really have any complaints because I mean, obviously my expectations were real low on that one, man, but I wasn't a huge fan of the first one.
Yeah,
I'm
so if
right
you've
there.
seen the first one, you already have a Max subscription. Why not? Kind of. That sounds about
Yeah,
the level at which you're endorsing
it
it.
pretty much stays right there with how the first one is. It's not better, not worse. I mean, it's right there. So anyway, not a total waste of time if you all are thinking about watching it and haven't yet because of, oh, is it going to be a waste of time or does it suck that bad? And probably not a waste of time.
You got to wait for the dead cat bounce where the hate goes too far and then it comes back up a little bit. I think we're probably starting to get in that zone. I have not checked out much new stuff. I did watch that also, I think on Max, the animated Lord of the Rings joint, the War of the Royal Rim. It was fine. It again, if you want to kind of put something on the background, you like the Lord of the Rings stuff. Again, fine. I probably won't rewatch it. Nothing really. They do bring back a little bit of the Peter Jackson stuff, but just again, if you like the animated stuff, a little nice 2-hour animated flick, but probably not so substantial that it's really going to stick with you. Probably better off go rewatch the Peter Jackson flicks or maybe check out the Amazon show.
it's St. Patrick's Day weekend, and that's when we're recording. St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow, so all weekend, or well, yesterday, anyway, and at the job, what I do all day in the kitchen, I put on the Irish music, and what's awesome is being in the middle of the shit in the kitchen and just cranking like the Irish Celtic classics, river dance kind of shit, and you got that. It's all like you picture people doing the whole things, and then it's busy as fuck, right? So you're just slinging food, like just getting it. So it's a good vibe, like that. Like, I don't know, it was fun. It makes it fun for me. So yeah. Anyway, that's a little tidbit of whatever.
There's probably a fun episode of a TV show where they try that, but like they get too far into it and they make all the people in the back of the house wear wooden clogs and everyone just slipping and falling all over the kitchen trying to do the
It got to be slip proof, dude. You got to put the slip proof on there.
You put on wooden clogs. I mean,
in the bottle. Yeah, Irish music is fun. It's fun to drink to. It's fun to have on in the background. It's fun to watch people dance the jig while you're drinking. And yeah, it's just,
man, watch those dudes do the like that crazy river dance shit, man. It's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's, I mean, everyone, shout out to the Irish. They make drinking look cool.
They're fantastic. And you know what else is fantastic? The hype train. Choo choo, baby. We're coming through. Mills, tell me an upcoming release here you're hyped about.
This is another one that's been around for a long time. The anthology series Black Mirror coming back for season 7 on Netflix. This one is dropping April 10th, I believe. 6 episodes. They're doing their first sequel, I believe, to the USS Callister episode. In the the last couple of seasons, you get like one banger, like 2 decent ones, one all right one, and then one kind of stinker. If we get that ratio, I still will be happy for it because the highs are really high here with Black Mirror. Jamie G, have you watched any of the Black Mirror? Let us know if you have any opinion on that, and then give us your hype train.
Yeah, I have not watched Black Mirror. It's on my list.
Oh, that's a good one, dude. Especially the first couple of seasons, man. It is a mess. Like the first episode of the series involves a country ransom where a head of state needs to have sex with a pig on camera to secure a ransom demand. That's where the series starts, just to give you an idea. It's a mess.
Yeah, it definitely was one on my list. I think it's intriguing how, it's each one's different and kind of tells a different story, et cetera, et cetera. So I it seems like something I would like, just haven't gotten a chance to do it yet. So that is out there for me, but I've got 2 things I'm pretty excited about. One coming up in March and one coming up kind of early mid-April. I wait for the new Guy Ritchie crime drama with my guy Tom Hardy coming out on Paramount Plus called Mobland. Really excited about this. Got a great cast. I think Pierce Bronson is in there. It's just, this looks awesome. Anything Tom Hardy with a criminal aspect, I'm usually there for. Throw Guy Ritchie in the mix. Excited to see what they do with this thing. And then, man, April 13th, I cannot wait. Last of Us season 2. Oh man, I've been dying for this one for a while. This was fantastic television. If you did not watch season 1, go out and do it now. It's great, and get yourself ready for season 2. Great chemistry between the 2 leads here. It looks awesome. It's such a cool world they've created. It's scary. It's all the emotions. Yeah, I can't wait for Last of Us season 2.
And I can't say anything because I have played the second Last of Us video game, and they basically did the entire first game in season 1. So if they're going to do season 2 based on the entire second game, I can't say anything. Soup, have you watched any of the Black Mirror Last of Us season 1, and what are you hyped about?
No, I have not watched any of the Black Mirror, but it sounds like I probly should, man. So
yeah, you would enjoy it. It's like more of a dystopian Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I would totally be down for that, man. So looking forward to checking that out eventually. No, I didn't see any Last of Us either, man. You guys always are on these shows that I haven't seen yet, and I feel bad about it. But it gives me encouragement to watch them. So I'm looking forward to I think the Black Mirror to me right now is a little more interesting than the Last of Us sounds. But from what you guys say, both of them are worth the watch. So they're on my list, man.
Get hyped, baby. All right, so what do you got that's coming up you're hyped about?
All right. Well, as Jamie G already mentioned, I'm super hyped about Mobland, man. That's one that's been on my radar for a minute, and I just earlier today saw another, the trailer again for it. So it kind of got me a little bit more hyped about it. It looks awesome. I think it's gonna be a big one, dude. But not to repeat anything here. We'll go with my other one was a movie called The Parenting. And I never heard of it before, or I don't think I have. It didn't ring a bell anyway, And when I was looking at some of the Beetlejuice stuff, it popped up there as being something that was very similar to it, almost a knockoff, like some people were saying, and I was like, "What the fuck?" So I check into the parenting. What's the parenting about? And I watched the trailer and it looks hilarious. So I can see out of the trailer it doesn't spell Beetlejuice to me at all, but we'll see where it goes. I mean, anyway, it looks funny and it's got a great cast, so I'm looking forward to checking this one out, man.
You have some prestige TV all stars in this one: Brian Cox, Edie Falco, Lisa Kudrow, Dean Norris, Parker Posey. They got some heavy hitters there, man. That looks
Yeah.
interesting. So, good call. You brought up the Mickey 17, and so I like that. Everybody seems like that. They got some good ideas here, but we got two from Mobland, and I'm also with the Last of Us, so a lot of good stuff here. So, lot coming on, man. So you got to keep the hype train going because then it just develops into holes they have to fill up.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, dude. That's why
It's your pipeline for
I
your
have so
hole,
many
dude.
empty holes.
It really
Yeah,
is, man. Yeah, it's like a bullet train now. Back in the day, it was like the slow train. Now it's the bullet train. You got so much content, man.
Well, guys, as the legal representative for the show, I need to remind you we do need to fulfill our legal requirements to reference Archer in every episode of Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We do that by giving you our sterling suggestions. We've each got a recommendation for you to check out. Mills, let us know. What do you got for us this time?
I tried to do a twofer here, man. Recently, we lost David Lynch, and we're doing a sequel joint that came out way after the fact. So I'm going to go with Twin Peaks. Originally aired way back in the like 1990. When I say early 90s, I mean the beginning of the 90s on ABC. Very cool. Got canceled after a kind of a lot of messed up stuff here. Kyle MacLachlan, we all like, again, very, very good here. Ray Wise, I know we're a big fan, big part of the show, especially in season one there. They kind of did a follow-up movie called Firewalk with Me. Cool. And then everything kind of stood in limbo. And then in 2017 on Showtime, they came out with 18 more episodes. David Lynch directed all of them. It maybe the best continuation, or at least the most worthy. Some people were probably a little ambivalent about it, but goddamn, man, there's this episode, the eighth episode, part 8, called "God of Light" from the third season. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in kind of modern TV. It's surreal, and I mean, it's David Lynch. If you like David Lynch, you'll like Twin Peaks. The first season is the most accessible, as is Fire Walk with Me. The second season goes off the rails a little bit. The third season is, a very auteur driven. It's very David Lynch, but I think it's worthy. You talk about you wanted someone to come back after that amount of time and do something different, but kind of continue it. I thought this was one of the better versions of it, so that's my sterling selection. Twin Peaks, it's a hard one to find right now. I believe the first two seasons are on Paramount Plus. I think you can buy all the stuff from Amazon or Apple TV. Third season, I believe, is available on Showtime. I think also available with the Apple TV Plus. Jamie G, what is your sterling selection for this episode?
Well, I finished up a series sometime in the middle of football season. I really enjoyed it. I kind of miss it. It was AP Bio, a classic Glenn Howerton. It was like a feel good. It was like Always Sunny, but like rated PG, right? But it was still really funny and had its moments. I enjoyed it a lot. He's basically brilliant. Gets stuck in his hometown as an AP Bio teacher in a high school. Life sucks. He goes on a mission to just get after his after his enemies every day, including bringing the kids along for the ride. You start to develop these characters with the kids, which I'm usually not a fan of, but they make it awesome. Really good stuff here, man. Enjoyed AP Bio. Go check it out.
Soup Man Ed, what do you have for us as your sterling suggestion?
Dude, I'm going back in time a little bit here, man. We're gonna dig up a classic Stephen King joint. My sterling suggestion is coming at you. And no, it's not Silver Bullet, even though that's not sterling. It's not a sterling bullet either, man. I'm talking about the Cat's Eye, dude. Cat's Eye is awesome. It's a good rewatch. It's gonna be old, as you're gonna get the whole like, it's from back in the day kind of thing out of it. But I mean, there's no CGI or anything like that probably going on, man. But this is a good one, dude, and it's got some good. It's nostalgic for me because I remember watching it when I was younger. But it's got a couple of good stories in it, man. And it's a good one, man. If you like something like what are the ones with a couple like Tales from the Dark Side and feel like that, where it's a couple stories. It's one movie,
The
just
anthology, yeah.
yeah. Thank you. An anthology. This is an awesome. It's an awesome one to go back to and check it out if you haven't seen it in a while. So go for Cat's Eye, dude. Get a little Craig T. Nelson. You get a bunch of people in there that you'll recognize. Man, I can't get them all off the top of my head right now. And a couple of good Stephen King joints, man. So
Yeah, I was also partial to the Stand, the Langoliers. They had a kind of a bunch of those back in the day, Dreamcatcher joint. A lot of Stephen King out there, so I
yeah.
always enjoy a good one of those.
Before we hop on the soul train to the never-ending promised land, we do need to connect us dudes to the dude via the 6 degrees of Lebowski. Mills, this is your task here. Go ahead and take us to the dude from Michael Keaton. I feel like that should be an easy one for you, considering you love you some Michael Keaton.
It really should be here, but I want to make it a little bit more complex just for the challenge. In Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton obviously played Beetlejuice. In Batman, Michael Keaton played Bruce Wayne, Batman, while Tracy Walter played Bob, the Joker's right-hand man. We got to get Bob involved, right? In Young Guns 2, Tracy Walter played Beaver Smith, and Leon Rippey played Bob Olinger. In The Life and Death of David Gale, Leon Rippey appeared as Braxton Bailu, and Kevin Spacey starred as David Gale. In K-Pax, Kevin Spacey starred as Prote, while Jeff Bridges starred as Dr. Mark Powell, and Jeff Bridges is the dude. So we got a little Young Guns too. We got a little Bob in there, so I'm kind of proud of that one.
Well, that was a bit more complex than I had expected. I should have been bobbing and weaving. Why don't you try one more here? Get us to the Big Lebowski via our guy, Bob, Beetlejuice's decoy slash right-hand man.
This is tough because this is a gentleman who is mostly a puppeteer, but I found a way. In Beetlejuice, Nick Kellington plays Bob. In Slaughterhouse Rules, Nick Kellington played the Beast, and Simon Pegg played Meredith Houseman. In Terminal, Simon Pegg played Bill, and Mike Myers played Clinton. In View from the Top, Mike Myers played John Whitney, and John Polito played Roy Roby. In The Big Lebowski, John Polito was the private snoof, the private dick, the private detective. We've also seen him in The Crow, so shout out John Polito. So not bad, right? Got made it come back all the way around a little bit. Got a little Simon Pegg. Couldn't quite get to any of the Coronado trilogy there, but still good time. Got a little Mike Myers with no Wayne's World even, or Austin Powers.
It's hard for me to comment there. I'm just going to hold my thoughts. I think we're sufficiently connected. Let's go ahead and do the thing. Mills, go ahead, hit us with the details for tonight's featured review.
This is Beetlejuice, directed by Tim Burton, on a screenplay by Alfred Goh and Miles Millar, story by Alfred Goh, Miles Millar, and Seth Grahame-Smith, produced by Mark Toberoff, Dee Dee Gardner, Jeremy Kleiner, Tommy Harper, and Tim Burton. The cinematographer was Harris Zambar-Locos, and edited by Jay Prychinity. Music by Danny Elfman, back again for this. Originally released September 6, 2024. Had a budget of approximately $100 million, upon which it returned $451.9 million at the box office, starring Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Justin Theroux, Monica Bellucci, Jenna Ortega, and William Dafoe. The short plot synopsis is: after a death in the family, the living members of the Dietz family return to Winter River. With Beetlejuice still intent on marrying her, Lydia is forced to take action when her teenage daughter Astrid finds her way into the afterlife.
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you now it's going to be a spoiler of all things because we're spoiling and talking about all things Beetlejuice, and that includes the original Beetlejuice. And now I'm screwed because that's it, man. You made me say it 3 times. We're in trouble now, man. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Couldn't even bring up Beetlejuice the animated series because he'd said it too many times.
What happens if you say it too many times? Shit.
Well, I mean, for JBG, get a bad lawyer commercial for Mr. Juice. I'm not sure. As far as kind of overall thoughts, expectations coming into this one, I didn't have the bar set too high. A fan of the original Beetlejuice. It's not like a seminal, like absolute top of the charts for me, but I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. But I've kind of seen Tim Burton as more of a kind of a Disney guy. Michael Keaton's been kind of reprising some of his other roles, and I was just looking for a fun one. I think I got that. I thought it looked cool. There are a couple of things that I didn't necessarily love. A couple of characters, it's always very tricky when you try to do a sequel this far out. But for the most part, I just went in. I'm like, look, I'm looking to have fun. I hope everybody kind of hams it up, does their thing. For the most part, I got some laughs. I enjoyed it. I don't know that it's going to be the most rewatchable flick. Definitely prefer the first one, but I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. Soup, how about you, man? Kind of overall vibe, intro to the joint, Beetlejuice, the second version. Do you enjoy it? Overall thoughts? How do you feel about it?
I enjoyed it, man. I went into this thing I was very nervous going into this one, man, because I'm a big Tim Burton fan. I'm a big Beetlejuice fan. It was one of those movies I've always liked, growing up and when I was a kid from back in the day, even, But yeah, Beetlejuice to me is a classic. So I worry about movies that try to do these sequels and especially later, but sometimes earlier isn't good either. So however it plays out, it plays out. Either way, whatever, I enjoyed it. But bottom line, yeah, man, I enjoyed the sequel. I think it really sized up, man, without going overboard, without doing too many repeaters, but still keeping true to the original. Yeah, I thought it was great, man. Tim Burton showed a lot of cool stuff out of this one, man. And it's fun to see this kind of Tim Burton. Yeah, I thought it was fun.
Sounds like you approach it kind of like a Bills game, right? Like cautiously optimistic.
It was cautiously optimistic, yes.
Yeah, that's I think again the fair term. I've learned that with y'all's Bills fans. Jamie G, how about you on this one, man? What were your expectations going in? Did it meet them? Did it not meet them? Overall thoughts on Beetlejuice?
Big fan of the first one. Was really excited when this came out. I remember, they were excellent at showing just little clips in the trailers and just building an overall excitement about Beetlejuice coming back. It had been so long. It was so cool. It was like, man, I wonder where they'll go with the story. I had put off watching it. Yeah, honestly, I was probably just going to wait till this Halloween season to watch it. And then we decided to do this, right? And I watched it, and I got to be honest, man, I am not a fan at all. I thought it was just absolutely terrible. There's certain parts of it that were fine, but this was a massive letdown for me. Uh, all the stuff that made the original Beetlejuice great to me, I thought was missing here. There was no cool, funky quirkiness that came from these people from the big city to the small town where it really worked in the first one. And then on top of that, it takes a really long time to get going before you kind of get into it. It just takes a while. The oomph, the pizzazz, the magic that only Michael Keaton can do that made Beetlejuice so great the first time just wasn't there to me. He was incredibly flat. In fact, all actors essentially mailed it in my opinion. The story was okay. There was really nothing about this movie that made me think it was worth remaking. And I just thought it was a huge disaster. Really disappointed in it, man. Like, I don't know why, dude. If you go back and watch Beetlejuice, the first one, Michael Keaton is just so energetic and just has that whole pizzazz. Even his voice is just so monotone in this one. It's like he just does not give a shit, doesn't even want to be there. It didn't do it for me, man, at all. I thought it sucked.
We definitely want to contrast it to the original. So I think you're a good place to start because you didn't enjoy this one. What do you think were the biggest deviations, the biggest things that differed here from the original that took you out of it the most, that you disliked the most?
Well, our main characters in the first one, I think, were easy to follow with Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. They did. I think it worked really well, given that they were the ones that were dead and trying to navigate. And here you kind of have alive people that are trying to go back and forth, and it just didn't work that well. I also think that a lot of the eclecticness, quirkiness that existed in the first one that made it seem so cool and so different didn't really exist here at all. And while we got Catherine O'Hara, I much rather prefer her in the first one than to this one. It just didn't have that pizzazz to me. And then ultimately, I think it was the Michael Keaton was just not the same at all. He just was. just mailed it in basically. So um, those things, the introduction to Beetlejuice, I just felt too kind of like cartoony down there. I don't know. I was a bigger fan of the way they kind of like the weird turf thing that he was in, where he, like his little town down there in the first one where they go to with the dirty, the models and strippers on one thing, and like that whole scene. He just was funnier to me in the first one. I think like that the way everything looked, even though it didn't have as good of budget or graphics as today's movie had. I think all those were reasons why the first one was a lot better.
I'll say from a performance standpoint, I didn't really have any problem with Michael Keaton here. I think to a certain degree, given his age, I understand there'd be maybe a little bit less emphasis, and maybe he can't nail the voice after 35 years. So maybe I'm willing to give him a little bit of a pass here. But he was very vocal. He was kind of the driving guy for years and years and years that really he was the one who wanted to make a Beetlejuice sequel, but he was very emphatic that you had to have Tim Burton, you had to have Winona Ryder. They got it made. So I don't think that it was a paycheck movie for him. So maybe the performance just didn't work for you. I don't think it was for like a lack of effort or him just trying to kind of phone it in. So, how did you feel about Michael Keaton trying to slip back into the white and black suit after all these years as Beetlejuice?
I don't think he was flat on it at all, really, man. I mean, yeah, yeah, like you said, man, he was one of the driving forces to do it. Like he was all about it, from what I understand, from anything I've looked up. I mean, it didn't seem to me like he wasn't into it. It seemed to me like he was into it, because why would he if he wasn't? No, I liked his performance. I thought he was fine, dude. I mean, he was Beetlejuice, dude. And to me, it was, I don't know. I didn't see too much of a difference there, man.
In the first one, he had that larger than life persona, and he wasn't afraid to push boundaries, and his delivery was not just so monotone with the voice and just flat like it was in this one to me. So I'm not saying he mailed it in, but he just did not hit it at all like he did in the first one. To me, it's basically two different characters. I mean, it's like he's just not the same at all. So
I don't know. I think he still has the same charisma, man. Maybe not. I mean, maybe the 30-year age thing, but that shouldn't count, because I mean, he's what, 7,000 years old anyway, so he should stay the same. Yeah, somebody's gonna age if they're gonna play the same character, 35 years later or whatever. So I mean, I don't think he intentionally. I don't think he was slacking. I think he went in there like I'm pretty sure he was gung ho about it.
well, and I would have expected a better performance if he was that gung ho, but I digress.
Maybe it was just a dud for you. Let's kind of stick with the OG characters, work through them. I will say that Lydia was probably the most disappointing for me. I don't know if that it was a bad performance, but I think she really was giving nothing to do really until she actually got to team up with Beetlejuice. She was just basically giving us plot exposition and then reacting to Rory, who is probably the character I enjoyed the least. I like Thoreau, but I thought he was not that great, especially when you read what they were going for, and he was supposed to be the Otho of this film. So I think overall, Lydia, I was probably the most disappointed with. I think it's okay. I get that you throw in the death of her husband. She wants to be there for her daughter, all that kind of stuff. I get it. Not terribly fun though. And if you talk about there's no real quirkiness to her performance, I would buy that. For the most part, Winona Ryder is forced to play the straight person here, the straight man, whatever you want to call it. She does not get a lot of jokes or get to do a lot of fun, which sucks because in the original film, Lydia was very unique because she could only see the dead because she was, unusual and
Strange and
strange.
unusual.
Right. And here they make it more like she has a gift of seeing the dead. So I didn't mind the whole like ghost house thing or whatever, but I would say of the returning characters, she's probably the one I had the most problems with. And again, not because of the performance, just I didn't really like what they gave her to do. Like you said, it does seem like she is, Joyce from Stranger Things with, the bad wig. So I'll give you that one, man. I think that is fairly spot on, but I don't put that on Winona Ryder. I put that on the writers, not giving her a lot to do and kind of having to give Jenna Ortega the shine. So, Soup, what did you think kind of, as far as the returning characters here, especially with Lydia?
Well, I mean, if we're starting with Winona's big brown one here, then I thought she did good. She stuck true to the character. I mean, yeah, I didn't expect her to be I mean,
she's a responsible parent, right? It's never a
Yeah,
fun role.
it was kind of what I expected out of it, man. And her story turned out to be pretty cool. The way she like what she does for a job or whatnot and things like that. Like they made her her development in life like kind of fall right into play with the way the movie was going, man. So either way, it was cool. I didn't have a problem with her. I expected that out of that character, man. So.
So about par for the course there. How about Catherine O'Hara? I mean, obviously she came back and she seemed to really kind of understand the movie she was in. She was chewing the scenery. When I was trying to take my notes here and write quotes, I would say she had at least half of them. When you're going for kind of those hard one-liners. I think what was missing here is she didn't have someone to play off of. Like she had Otho and Charles in the first movie, right? Because she had Charles as a straight man and Otho was kind of her confidant, and she doesn't get that here. And I guess she's fine with Lydia, but they always kind of disliked each other and they try to lean into that, but I don't know if it works necessarily. But I will say, individual pound for pound from the returning cast, she probably gets the most laughs from me. We'll go back to JBG in a minute. Soup, what do you think about Delia here?
Oh, she crushed it, dude. She hasn't always been one of my favorite characters in various, you see her in all kinds of shit over the years, and she's good, in a lot of things. I mean, she's awesome, but and she just embellished that character and took it to the next level on a really cool, on a really cool platform here, man. And it was fun to see. It was fun to see that, I mean, she stuck really true to. She didn't break it at all, man. She just aged it and advanced it, and I thought she was great, man.
You get how much she loved the attention, so I thought it made sense that she leaned into the whole social media thing. There were a couple good background gags at her art gallery. Like I think there was a nude sculpture of her split in half. In the whole like she had the graffiti artist there that was going to tag her harder than the Paris Underground. I like that a little bit. Jamie G, any thoughts on the other couple of returning characters here? We know you didn't really like Michael Keaton. Did Catherine O'Hara or Winona Ryder do it for you at all?
Yeah, I said I thought Winona Ryder was Joyce from Stranger Things with the wig of Lydia. So didn't work for me at all. I thought it was pretty terrible. She was basically just out of it the whole time and just like it just there wasn't anything fun about it for me. All the cool quirkiness that drove the first one that she played a part in terms of her like strange and weird and accepting of the afterlife. It was the exact opposite in this one where she didn't want to accept it and it was like a bad thing and all that kind of stuff. So didn't really work at all. I thought Dahlia was good. We just didn't get enough of her. In the first one, I think, or believe it or not, I think we really missed Ortho. He kind of had that funkiness that made it so cool, the eclecticness. We just didn't get enough of her. I thought the house draped in the veil was super awesome. That was a really good shot, but we didn't get enough of her weird artwork and strange eclectic things all over the place and just more of her. I wish we would have got a little bit more of her. The snake thing was fine, but yeah, I think she was certainly a highlight in a movie I didn't like, but we just didn't get enough of her.
At that point, you kind of have to work into the fact that Jeffrey Jones is a registered sex offender, so he couldn't be on the flick. And I think the choice to do all of that kind of with the animated sequence there, and then
Yeah.
you have like basically his bottom half running around the underworld, kind of either works for you or it doesn't. It's slightly interesting that they base this on Tim Burton's worst fear is somehow like crashing in a plane and then surviving in the ocean to be eaten by a shark. And you get the nice gag where he sits down in the underworld and he sits next to the dude on a surfboard, like is like the top half who got his bottom half hit by a shark, and he's the bottom half who got his top half, bit off by a shark. If they had to go this way, it's fine. You can maybe argue it's a little much having him, kind of run around the whole time, and it works out at the end. It gives it a little bit sweetness. It was a good workaround. I guess you could have done it another way. When we watched the trailer, I would not have expected his fate to be decided by this random stop motion sequence. But for the most part, I thought it was pretty funny, and I laughed enough at it. Did that work for you, Soup?
Yeah, I mean, I really thought it was cool with what they did with the Charles. It was a claymation or whatever the fuck it was.
It was Afghanistan animation.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah, man. Shout out Johnny Chimpo, dude. All right, cool, man. So yeah, I love that and what they did with that, and I like that he had the no head. I mean, yeah, I think again, I think that was brilliant. I mean, these are the things about this movie that I thought were really cool, man. And that's one of them, man. The way they made that work. There's a lot of other little things about this that link it to the last one and they don't they give respect to the original. They keep it legit. So things like this I thought were cool about keeping it legit and keeping it going in a direction where it's interesting and not just redoing shit. So it was a cool take on that rather than just completely getting rid of his character and overall, a way to keep him
Yeah,
there.
right. I was surprised. I thought they were just going to axe him out and use his death as a way to write him off. But that's maybe the gift and the curse of the whole Beetlejuice thing. Like once you know a character is dead, you're going to see him. Like once I heard like the dad is dead, Lydia's husband, Astrid's dad. Like of course we're going to see him. And then when everyone dies, it's the one thing. It's a little bit kind of maybe overused a little bit here. So I would definitely argue that's probably at least not the most elegantly deployed. But one thing that did help with this when I first turned it on, interesting, the old school full credit sequence, no cold open, anything like that. So you got to wait through it a little bit. But dude, unexpected DeVito, you can never go wrong with unexpected DeVito, right? Like I saw the back, I saw the hair. I'm like, is that Danny DeVito? Danny DeVito's
You
not
knew
much
about the
like
hair,
it.
dude? The back hair? The
I
back of
can,
that?
yeah. Well, he's got it's like the reverse Wolverine, right? He's got the
Yeah,
little the gray halo. I mean, Jamie
Raylo,
G, I
dude.
know you don't like this movie, but I mean, you got to at least be neutral on the Danny DeVito cameo, I feel.
I thought the cameo was awesome, and at that point, I still had high hopes. I was like, okay, maybe we're going somewhere with this, man. Ultimately, it didn't do it, but yeah, it was cool to see DeVito in there, even just for a brief second with the soul sucker there.
I mean, he's drinking the janitor fluids, which I'm assuming is a callback to Sonny. And when we obviously learned from the gang gets quarantined that they have that they got a little something something tucked around the bar and maybe in the cleaning fluid jars. Soup, that leads us to the intro to Dolores, who is the Beetlejuice ex-wife here, who is kind of I guess the villain of the flick, and we get this sequence scored to the tragedy by the Bee Gees where she staples herself together. They tried to do kind of a cross of CGI and practical. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm sure you've seen this effect more. You watch a lot of horror movies, stuff like that. Did the look work for you? Did you like that? Was she an imposing enough villain? We all, love Monica Bellucci. She's been around forever. But how did that work for you?
I mean, I really like the staple together thing, and you've seen similar things like that with other Tim Burton movies, like with
Was that
Sally.
a thing call out with just the arm, right, from the Addams Family? I thought that's what I was looking for. I thought with the whole, when the arm starts rebuilding her.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could see that being a thing call out, dude, for sure, man. And the first thing I thought was like Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas, very, very good stapled together, stitched together. That's a Tim Burton kind of like, I don't want to call it a trademark, but it's familiar ground for him kind of. It looked like a Tim Burton character, which is awesome. I loved it. I love the whole and I like and and it was cool the way they did the way the whole scene happened with the stapling together and stuff was cool, and I think that's something that he probably couldn't have done as well back in the day, obviously as they could have now. So that was fun. That was cool. And the character was I mean, it's just an addition of another character to have another storyline, and I get that, and it's cool, but I think it fit in pretty well. And I really thought the best part of it was like the way as we progress from down the line, the way the story goes and in the movie, man, is that like the links together, you'll see things that link it together, like little like whatnots with the wedding ring in the just the time
Yeah,
frame
I
of
mean, she
you
fits
know
well enough in there. I mean, you can obviously, we'll talk about that in a second, the interesting choice that they make. But I will say, to Jamie G's point, like, I think she looks cool, but she only gets 7 lines in the movie, and she doesn't get that much to do. So I can feel that it's a valid criticism that they introduce this character and she doesn't really do anything. Is that what do you think, Jamie G? Is that kind of how you feel about Dolores here? Like, is she not really a worthy villain because she doesn't really do anything?
Yeah, and she has such a cool thing. I mean, she can suck the soul, make you turn into this. You know, they should have played Chili Pepper's Soul to Squeeze as that was going on every
Well,
time
you're
they would
dead,
come
dead,
out.
right? So they tried to add stakes, I think, there, right? So like now you're dead, dead. There's no coming back from that, you know. And it felt
Right,
like a
right,
plot
right.
device more than a character.
Right, you're gone now. And even like the putting together scene, to me that was a letdown for Tim Burton. Like I mean, this is a guy that we've seen do crazy stuff with Nightmare Before Christmas, Edward Scissorhands, all sorts of things. And this was his moment to be able to like craft it however he wants. And it was just really just like, oh, it just sticks in and I'm going to staple it. There was nothing special to it at all to me. So I think, you know, again, a little bit of a letdown there with putting her together because that could have been Tim Burton, like, go crazy, dude. Like, have a day, do what you do to make this like wild and out of control. And to me, it was just very basic. Like, oh, I'm just gonna stick the finger in and staple it, or I'm just gonna, you know, it just didn't. There wasn't anything there for me other than it just swing and a miss. I think.
I don't know, man. I thought it was really cool, man. I don't know.
I wish again, you know, there was a little bit more to it there, but you know, it kind of is what it is. And then you get into the new characters a little bit. Jamie G, I think you mentioned liking the performance of Jenna Ortega here. I think she does a good job of you believe that she is Lydia Dietz's kid, right, from the first movie. I think you buy that. I think I'm not a huge fan of the whole romantic subplot here. You know, again, that's probably one of my main complaints. It's something that's unfortunately, it was just done in one of the Ghostbuster sequels. Minor spoilers for that, like not too long ago. It's such a specific, weird plot that I don't really love that. But for the most part, I liked her character, what she was trying to do, but I didn't think she got to have very much fun. She kind of just got stuck being, you know, the wet blanket, and then she's in love, and then she's going to overcome. Good performance, but again, I think I could see how there could be some criticism there. What do you think about Jenna Ortega here as Astrid?
You definitely believed she was Lydia's kid. I thought that they could really go somewhere with this, with her kind of an unexpected of the same kind of power, not power, but ability that Lydia had when she was her age, right? So you kind of get that. But instead, it was just kind of like the teenager that hates the mom, you know, because they lost the dad storyline and she just didn't get it. No fault of hers. She was just kind of written to be a bore. Like there was just nothing really cool with her. But I thought she did a great job. Again, she seemed to be the one out of all of them who really was like into this, trying to make it go and everything. But I just don't know that she got enough from what they chose to do with her character. I think they could have, honestly, I think she could have been like a driving piece in this whole movie. She could have had way more to do. But you know, that's the directions they chose. But yeah, good job. Just the character development was just kind of like, you know.
I think that's probably fair. What do you think, Soup, man? How'd you like Astrid? You know, is she worthy of putting up there kind of next to the Lydia Dietz from the original Beetlejuice?
Yeah, man. Yeah, she's got a lot of potential there, man. She did a great job in this flick too, man. You know, I mean, I know she's played a role. She just has that look. Like, it wasn't she like Wednesday Adams or in the show or whatever, which I didn't see yet, which I wanted to watch. I'll put that on my list for sure. Because I like, yeah, I remember that looked pretty good. But yeah, man. Other than that, I'm not too familiar with her as an actress, but I thought she did well in this one, man. I have no complaints on anything she did in here. I thought she did a great job, man. And then going into that's the thing, going into a movie like this, like, oh, I get to play in Beetlejuice, the sequel. A lot of people are going to watch this movie, man. So it's a tall ask, but I think she did well at it.
Yeah, I think she was cast perfectly. There was probably, I think, just maybe one too many chainsaws being juggled here. I think for me, the biggest miss was Justin Theroux as Rory, just because he's so shoehorned in. And then if you read after the fact, what the writers were going for and Tim Burton was going for was the idea that he would be the new Otho here. Like he would be the dude that, like, yeah, he's kind of
They
there, he's
missed
around
Otho.
it, and then you want him to get killed at the end. You're rooting for it. But what they missed was Otho was cool, right? That was
Yeah,
the point of Otho. Like,
very.
yeah, he was kind of a douche. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, cucking Charles a little bit or whatever, but he was
But he had a
cool.
style. He was cool. He was eclectic. He had a funkiness. Like he was, yes.
I hate
Yeah,
like
I think
Rory
they
here
did.
is the big miss for me. Like, I like the actor. I get where he's going with the performance, but if you lost him from the flick and just had Lydia mourning without having the love interest, I think it still works just as fine. So
I like that better, actually, man. And yeah, I mean, that like,
because she obviously doesn't even like him. Like, you know what I mean? He like the fact that it's revealed that he was just scheming on women who were in mourning. He's just a complete douche, and I don't think the flick need a biggest douche in the universe. So again, I definitely like the flick a lot more than you, Jamie G. But that's a part I definitely was not a a huge fan of it all. And even though the performance, again, I like the role. I like that he's trying to do the make it as douchey as possible and go over the top with it. It just like I'm trying to have fun with this flick, really, and it just I don't know. He just seemed like an impediment for Lydia to actually being able to do shit.
The sad thing was too is they needed something there. So you kind of felt like, okay, he's got a real opportunity to kind of be the glue. He just didn't deliver it. There wasn't enough of like him with Delia. There wasn't enough of him with any of the other, it was just kind of like these scenes with him in Lydia, and then of course the beginning stuff when before they even get to the house. I just don't know they had enough. Even his interactions with Beetlejuice and stuff just weren't what you wanted, kind of, And so, at least there was no like belief that it was actually happening. Even he was like, "Oh, I'm just dreaming." It would have been a lot cooler to see him kind of used a different way, I think. So,
Yeah, they didn't utilize him nearly as well as they could have. The only good part is at the end he gets eaten by the sandworm with Dolores, and you're like, yay, he got, he's wearing the I love Dolores shirt. You get a couple of gags out of it, but
yeah,
if you
that
have
was
Justin Theroux, I think there's probably, kind of more shit you could do with it. But Jamie G, I will fight you to the death on, dude. I love William Dafoe as Wolf Jackson. He's a man, playing a cop. He's Frank Hardballer. He should have been on Arrested Development. That is the name of a cop on Arrested Development. I'll say till I die. I think William Defoe, you have to go big, right? He is who he is. He's a dude who loves to chew scenery. I know you're not the biggest fan of they went with the obviously, kind of fake and weird brain thing, but that doesn't even bother me at all. It's always been so kind of surreal in the underworld, the afterlife of Beetlejuice, but just the idea that he's so committed to the bit, and he's only like a B-list actor. You know what I mean? This isn't Tom Cruise or something. This is basically, like Richard Grieco, maybe. Yeah, I just love that level of it and how committed he is to the bit. He gets some of the biggest laughs in the movie for me. So I will fight you to the death on that. It might not be the greatest flick in the world, but I absolutely love what William Dafoe is putting down. Soup, let me go to you first because I think you loved him, and then we'll go to Jamie G for rebuttal.
yeah, dude, Willem Dafoe crushed in this one, man. He was great, man. He was kind of the comic relief, but also, played the role he was supposed to play. I thought it was a great performance by him, man. He did a stellar job, dude. And yeah, I mean, like, but there's a reason why, like, Tim Burton does this stuff. You think he doesn't know? You think he's gonna put hey, that looks fake on on the makeup or whatever, and be like, okay with it? I mean, there's a reason behind all this stuff. Just have that certain look, and that's the look he went for, and that's the look he got, man. I thought it was fine, dude. I mean. So
So
yeah,
the running gag with it, he always is throwing the cup of coffee. Every time someone sells him shit, he's doing the Tommy Lee Jones speech from The Fugitive. You can see the
yeah.
cue cards and everything, even in hell. Just I don't know, man.
He
It
was
all worked when they're
stellar,
creeping up on the
dude.
church at the end. It all worked for me. Like he knew what the assignment was, right? Like this is supposed to be a fun, over the top movie, and I think he delivered. So maybe it's too big of a contrast if you didn't like some of the other performances. I mean, maybe he makes Beetlejuice not look as fun by contrast. But man, I don't think there's any way you can say William Dafoe is not really having a fun here. Jamie G, what do you think? Is he at least one of the highlights of the flick for you, or?
Oh, I thought William Defoe did a great job, and I love William Defoe, dude. He's Elias from Platoon. I mean, come on, William Defoe's great. But see, I have a huge problem. I know it didn't bother either one of you guys, and Soup's, you just didn't care, Mills, and Soup's going to go the way of, well, Tim Burton's a genius, so he did that on purpose. But that was some stupid ass bullshit. It made it look so fake and dumb that it took away from the great performance, in my opinion. You're Tim Burton. You have unlimited, like you could do anything you want, and you put a fake, like, it was a paint job, dude. Like, really? Why not make that awesome? Why not do something really cool with that? Like, that just really bothers me
Well,
so
don't get
much.
me wrong, dude. I would love to have seen it with
Huge.
more if it were
It
more
took away
gory.
from how great his performance was to me because of how stupid that looked. Like it just looked so amateur and dumb that it took away how cool he was. He was funny. I loved all the stuff. Like yes, all of everything you're saying with him, he was probably my favorite character in the whole movie, but I just can't get over how terrible that side piece was. Like you could have did anything with it and you just did nothing. Like it really bothers me, man. Like, and again, Tim Burton, the reason why I like Tim Burton, it's the visual stuff. I thought there was a huge failure in all the visual stuff in this film from him.
My headcanon, for what it's worth, is that he is a makeup person and that they make it up every day to look like that. He has all his assistants or whatever, so like that's how he tries. Like that's a choice by him. That doesn't exist anywhere in the film, but in my head, that's how they're doing it. Like I love the part where he gets in, like, why did he even become a cop? And his assistant shows up, like, oh, remember that you're an actor. And he's like, that's why you're here.
Yeah, that was a great dude. That's what makes me think, like, all right, how about this, man? Picture Willem Dafoe in another sequel. Okay, now we waited a long time for a Beetlejuice sequel, though, and we're gonna wait a long time, if ever, for another one of these. But there's already been a sequel to this one. But I can see Willem Dafoe coming in to an Airplane sequel years down the road, dude.
I'd love to see him do like high
there
comedy like that. That could be kind of wild.
I think he can get into that, man.
Yeah, William Dafoe's great, dude. He's awesome in everything. I thought he was great in this. Again, I'm so disappointed because you could have really did something visually with the brain thing, and it just, to me, it took away from it.
I think that's fair enough. Here's a fun one, Jamie G, because we're doing Severance, you might like this one. The original ask for this was Christopher Walken. How would you like if he was Wolf Jackson instead of Willem Dafoe? What do you think if it had been Christopher Walken?
It would have been absolutely great. William Dafoe did a great job. Christopher Walken would have been awesome, but I bet you Christopher Walken wouldn't have agreed to have some bullshit paint job. He would have wanted a real deal thing, man. Like you can't. Tim Burton, dude, you can do anything. You do all this crazy visual stuff. You bring us all these crazy things, and you do a paint job. But Christopher Walken would have been fun too. No doubt about it.
Yeah, well, shit, man. It's a tough call, man, because of how good Willem Dafoe did.
He did.
And obviously, my first thing is, well, Christopher Walken could have been playing that guy, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, definitely. So I'm on the fence on this one, man. I think both of them.
I could definitely see Walken do that character. Right?
Before watching the movie, if I just knew the cast before watching the movie, and it was like, who do you want to play this character? Willem Dafoe or Christopher Walken? I would be like, well, Christopher Walken. But after watching the movie and seeing what Willem Dafoe did with it, now I'm like,
Yeah, it makes it tough. He deserved. I don't know that he was the weak link in this one. But Walken was made for that role too, kind of like he would have been cool too. So, but I think Dafoe was perfect, man. I got no issue with Dafoe in that, other than the paint job. To me was just, I don't know, man. I guess I just expect more out of Tim Burton, dude. Like,
I think there's a reason. You think that's what I'm saying?
What could possibly be the reason?
Yeah, maybe the dude. Maybe he's putting fucking makeup on it. Maybe maybe it's underworld makeup. He's trying to, how the people put the makeup on and shit. Like lipstick and whatever the fucks. And, I don't know, man. Maybe he's trying to.
I know he has assistants. I believe he would have a makeup person there. So I think that's fair. Although I would say, if he had a partner, I know that we have Danny DeVito as the janitor, but man, I would have loved if he was partners with William Dafoe there, like if they were doing like the buddy cop thing. I think one of the biggest swings that either probably worked for some people or didn't is when they do the kind of Beetlejuice origin story with Dolores and they do it all in Italian. That was kind of crazy. Super definitely remind me of the Bear season 3 taking a couple of big swings. What did you think about this one? This was kind of a mutual call. Tim Burton kind of got into it. They go really Italian. Monica Bellucci's Italian. They thought it fit. I liked it, but it was definitely one, you obviously had to really kind of, pay attention to keep up what was going on. A big kind of swing here, but I think it worked for me. How about yourself?
I thought it was cool, man, and it didn't last for too long. That's the thing. If it would have kept going and going, I would have probably got a little bit over it. But
I just like at the end, it's like, hey, we had to part, and then we parted ways, with the chop. I thought that was a nice cut and kind of a cool look there.
I like a switch up like that, dude. I'm always a fan of a switch up like that, as long as it doesn't go on for too long. And in this case, it was kind of right there, so it's cool because it sets it kind of shifts gears a little bit on you, but keeps you in the story, and then it keeps you, oh, I almost forgot about that, but we'll go back. Whatever. It's building the thing, man. It's keeping the train rolling, man. So different scenery for that, whatever it is.
I thought it was cool. We saw a fair amount of it in the trailer, but we get the shots of Astrid riding a bike through town, and that town looked a lot of the same. Very similar to it is how it did back in the original Beetlejuice, and that's what Tim Burton said. Like it was almost going into a time warp when they went there. They didn't really change anything. It all kind of looked the same way that it did. One thing I did enjoy the callback. You get the model kind of opening again, where Beetlejuice comes out. And that's how I think, you decide that the Rory dude's a dick, right? Finally, Lydia's just on like, this is my biggest fear in the universe. I'm going to tell you about it. This guy, Beetlejuice, you can't say his name 3 times. And dude is just like, yeah, I'm going to dick move immediately. And just Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Everything about that was great. Like Beetlejuice spilling his guts. And then they think that, he's the doctor. You get the baby Beetlejuice. I always thought that was kind of funny the whole time. And then even at the end when he's singing Richard Marx, I was a fan of the soundtrack choices in this one, so I thought that was, kind of a nice right on nod to the '90s. Jamie G, how about this, man? This is kind of a, you maybe want a little bit more direct callbacks to the original. This is kind of in the model, hardcore Beetlejuice stuff. Did at least this park, give you a little bit of a spark for you to work for you?
Yeah, it was cool to kind of to see that and see his kind of world down there. I thought that was probably the closest we got because the waiting room, I guess, was probably also, relatively close, but all the stuff kind of behind the scenes there to me just looked kind of, I don't know, just not cartoonish. I don't have the right word, but I did enjoy when they went into the model. I wish it would have lasted a little bit longer. And that was the first time kind of in the whole movie I kind of saw Beetlejuice get a little, Keaton get a little bit more juice with the whole thing where he was able to like, spill his guts, have bird the baby, all that kind of stuff was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean it was fine.
It was a gentle candle in an otherwise dark experience kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you think, Soup? I mean, I enjoyed this. The baby Beetlejuice, we get him back at the end. Kind of, dramatic when she just kind of gets up and bursts him. He does the thing for the first flick when he's trying to freak out Rory. So I thought it worked pretty well for me. Again, he reminded me of the baby Beetlejuice, a little bit of Puber from the Addams Family sequel, right? A
Oh
little bit of
yeah,
that
man,
there.
nice. Yeah, a little bit, dude, a little bit, man.
Not
Yeah,
the
it was
no mustache, but
right, right. Well, they don't all come out with mustaches, I guess. I don't know from what I'm told anyway, but
I don't even know if that's Gomez Adams. That might just be Raul Julia, R.I.P. Raul Julia.
yeah, I think it might have something to do with DNA or the genes or some shit or whatever they're wearing. But either way, man, yeah, stash, no stash, whatever, man. The Beetlejuice don't have a stash, so
No,
Did you guys notice that he wasn't as, in the first one, Beetlejuice was a little bit more not perverted, but there was a lot more kind of like sexual innuendos. We didn't really get any of those in this one.
you don't think? Where I
I
don't
didn't
know.
get a lot. I mean, other than the
Yeah,
comment
I think
like
there were some undertones in there, man.
he was not. He was a little rapey in the first one, where he was doing like,
he
what I mean. Like
was.
he was a little grabby. I would say they came off from that, but in an interview somewhere, they did say that they went out of their way to try not to neuter the character or whatever. Like, but again, I think it's just probably Michael Keaton's older and he's probably not maybe not willing to go there as much. I thought there was a little bit of that, but he was not as. It would have been too creepy, I think, in this day and age to see him like grabbing Jen Ortega's ass or something, right? That probably would
Well,
have been a
but
little bit too
it
much.
finally would have made sense for him with Lydia. At least Lydia is now, of legal age. The first one, she really wasn't.
There
So
still is that 600-year age gap, dude.
Yeah, I mean that can always be a thing. I mean, but, he did really do well as a gravedigger during the plague, though. So, he's not quite dead yet. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the flick. Obviously, when they go into the underworld, I don't like that they ruined the chalk bomb thing. I just thought that was a cool visual. But to me, I'll give you a little bit that it did start out a little bit slow. It wasn't that bad for me, but it really took off when you get Lydia finally doing the three Beetlejuices and he comes out and they go into the underworld. And I think that was, at least probably the stretch of the flick that had the most momentum. That's not a pure set piece. A lot of little stuff I liked in that. I know you weren't, a fan of some of the smaller stuff there, but I really did enjoy kind of all the little stuff we got in the underworld, the afterlife, whatever you want to call it, even the Soul Train, dude. I was willing to get on the Soul Train. And Super, what did you think? Did you think this underworld stuff compared favorably to the first flick? Anything stick out for you here?
Yeah, I think it did, man. I don't know if anything really stands out in particular, but I think it sized up pretty well to the first one because, like, there was a lot of things in the underworld, like just the little visuals that you see and the random, people or whatever that you can tell what they died for. I mean, it was brilliant back in the day, and I think it did a great job with it this time too. And that was one of my, that was one of the highlights for me with this Beetlejuice 2 joint was the underworld parts. I thought they were done really well, man. I thought there was a lot of cool visuals, a lot of takes on different things and whatnot, as I would expect, so I got what I wanted out of that kind of.
I mean, you can always in your head canon pretend that the electrocuted Santa is Clark Griswold from Christmas Vacation. I think there's probably a couple of different ways you go. You get the, maybe that's Houdini or something. The dude who looks like the magician in the box or whatever. The half surfer guy. I think there's a lot of that there. I do like the way that the Jeremy dude does get his comeuppance, right? Like Beetlejuice does come through. We even see Delilah like call him in the underworld, but mostly because she wants to find Charles and get to the VIP area. But when he thinks he's going to get away with it, of course, it's not official till he gets his passport stamp. That was probably the best moment. It's a PG-13 flick, so they get one F-bomb.
You're too late, man.
I think it was Dostoevsky who said, "Later, fucker."
But when he does that, it's Looney Tunes,
I
right?
love that.
That's what it reminded me of when Beetlejuice gives him the stamp. It's like, later, sorry, fucker.
I loved that he got one, man. Because in the first one, what was it? Nice fucking model, man. Yeah, everybody remembers nice fucking model.
Right? Yeah, you get one in the PG-13, but that was cool. Like when he gets dropped down via the trapdoor into hell. I didn't, I wasn't a huge fan of that character, so I thought the actor did a good job. Don't get me wrong, but that's who I wanted to see get their comeuppance, so that was cool for me.
Yeah. That was definitely cool. I even kind of like the introduction of his character because I like the tree house, and it was classic Tim Burton where it wasn't too much, but it still had his. You could tell it was, hey man, the Tim Burton man,
To mess up, I'm trained. Like I was looking for the whole time for him to be dead, so like the reveal, I think for that one just didn't kind of work as well for me.
I think the reveal for that worked well for me because I didn't see that coming, man.
I was looking for it the whole time because they're setting it up right. She doesn't believe her mom can see dead people. Like it just, they're going back to the town. I guess it's just the writer in me. I kind of just saw that one coming a little bit.
I probably should have seen it coming, but I didn't. And then wait, and I was, oh yeah.
He has a guide for the dad and everything, and then like that's when it's So I guess I'll give it to the writing for that. It's not too bad. They went a little bit sweet with the whole idea that they find her dad and everything down there. But to be honest with you, it kind of worked for me. Like it was nice. It was sweet, maybe a little bit over the top. Maybe Tim Burton's been working Disney too long, but I didn't mind the fact that they got a little reunion. It seemed a good impetus for them to, resolve their issues. That way they can deal with everything at the church in the final sequence. Jamie G, what do you think? Did they go too much on the mega happy ending with the dad there? Was that okay with you?
I was fine with it. You knew it was going to happen. I found it to be hilarious that he just he happens to be working the window. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this flick will fall apart if you really, I'm not expecting it to really hold up to narrative scrutiny.
Of course. But the thing that I think bothered me the most again was the fish. The fish is all over him. It's like, it just was so stupid where it's like, really, dude, I don't know, man. I guess maybe I just had a different, Tim Burton to me was dark and dreary and things looked so interesting and unique. And now we got bright blue fake fishes it just didn't. I think that's probably one of my biggest issues with this. I think I was just disappointed in what I expected out of Tim Burton. It just wasn't there. And that's clearly subjective to me, right? So some people might be totally fine with it. That's cool. To me, I think that was the stupidest part. I was like, really? He's just got these fish on, like.
Yeah, see, to me, it was neutral, I guess. Like, I was like, okay, I guess, like, he fell, into the Amazon River or something like that. And I think he
And also, we got two deaths in this family. Both are in the water. Like we couldn't have thought of one thing different. Like it's just like
Yeah, well, my guess is the first one was Tim Burton inspired, and then that one was probably they were looking for a cool visual, and they thought the fish would be cool, and I don't think it was as cool, as they maybe thought
yeah.
it would be. And of course, when you know the dad's dad, you know you're going to see him. That's the part I didn't like as much. Like I could, go either way with the visual, but it just seemed a little bit too obvious for the, kind of just. But I was happy when it happened. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I'm glad she saw him.
It did a good enough job, and that's why I give it to the direction and that kind of thing. There, at least they kind of keep it on the tracks.
It didn't answer the question though, Mills. Did you think we would get an answer to the question of why Lydia couldn't see him? Because they kind of brought that up a couple of times in the movie and
Maybe
made a
that's
big
not a
deal about
bad
it.
point. To me, it didn't matter. But you could argue that it only existed as a plot point to make Astrid mad at her mom, right? 'Cause she can't see the one ghost that matters the most. She
Right.
literally says that at one point, so I think that's valid. My guess is they would have had to give some convoluted or stupid, like you can't really see the ones, and they would have to try to make sure it didn't conflict with something else, so they just avoided it. So you could at least chalk that up to lazy writing, if nothing else. I think a little bit probably.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was kind of a cool. They brought it up multiple times. Maybe I've been watching too much Severance, where everything's so, there's a reason for everything. But I just kind of felt like maybe we would get to he was blocked, for their safety or something. He was doing it, something more with the storyline. It just never really got answered. But that, I mean, it's fine.
Right. There's probably like a one line answer where Beetlejuice could just drop like, "Oh yeah, and I'm not even letting the
Right.
her dad see him," or something like that. There's probably a way you could have done that if you really wanted to. A lot of whether or not you'll like this flick hangs on the big final, called the wedding sequence at the church, where it's MacArthur Park and they play it out the whole way. I mean, this is kind of wild. It's a little bit obviously of a play on what they did at the end of the first movie. I really enjoyed it. I did not expect this. It was weird. I guess maybe you could argue you'd rather have them sing than just do the kind of lip sync thing, but maybe it wasn't quirky, but this was a weird enough take. I mean, when it's like raining on the cake inside, I don't know. It kind of worked for me. It was not what I was expecting, so I think that probably made it land a little bit harder. So, what do you think, man? You're usually our soundtrack guy. How about going with setting the whole big final sequence here to MacArthur Park?
I don't hate it, dude. I think there could have been a better song selection, though, man. I don't even know what that would be. I was trying to rack my brain, being like, well, what would it be? So maybe that was the case. It might have been the same thing. It's like, man, I couldn't figure out what it would be. I had so many, it could be
Yeah,
anything.
apparently it came off of like Tim Burton's personal playlist. Like it was just something like in one of his jams.
I'm not saying it didn't fit. I just don't know if I would, I just don't know if I think it could have been something better.
Well, you look at how iconic in the first one, the daylight come anyone, you get that whole thing. That was such an important scene in that movie where
Hey,
everyone's at
now
the
leave me
dinner table.
banana.
Yeah, dude, everyone's at the dinner table singing it. They tried to do something similar here, but to me it was just that song wasn't very fun. And I think that's why it probably is just kind of like, nah. Yeah, it was cool visually with the cake and stuff, and it was weird, but the song was just really. I mean, dude, like, I don't
Oh,
know,
it's
just
almost 9 minutes, and they talked about like kind of like the decision to leave it all in. And I think because it goes to different parts, it's a big orchestral come up and everything. That like you see, Wolf and everyone kind of like creeping in on the outside, and when they come in, it sets it up okay, but it probably does run a little bit long. Definitely aggressive to try to do the same thing over again, right? Like you talk about maybe not being thrilled about what they didn't kind of bring back from the previous movie, but here they try to recreate one of the most classic sequences right down to having these sandworms solve the problem. So, it's a high degree of difficulty. I thought they did a good enough job with it when it was going on. I wasn't thinking about it. Looking back on it, it reminds me when they did, the first Star Wars kind of remake sequel here. And it's like, oh yeah, they kind of just did a New Hope over again, but we were still there for it. The sequence that finishes the movie is still kind of similar, but for the most part, I still enjoyed it. You got the sandworms there. Everyone got their comeuppance. William Dafoe got to, kind of vamp at the end. You got to take selfies with him, but
if you were going to redo this, something a little bit more upbeat would have been my personal choice, but it just wasn't a ton of fun for me.
Yeah, better song choice, maybe. But I don't even want to say better
Yeah,
song
it just they made a choice here, and they talked about it. Like the first flick was kind of like calypso, the Caribbean type of music, and here they went really heavy into the disco of it all. So this is kind of where they ended up because they wanted something they could let play out in its entirety over the the events of basically the entire final sequence. So I give them credit for taking the swing. It's not what I would have done probably, but in the minute. I enjoyed it. It doesn't probably play up as well on rewatch. Certainly, not as well as the day of the banana song sequence from the original. But I didn't hate it. How about the end here? They did get me a little bit with the fake out. I'm not gonna lie. Where it looks like, oh, she's gonna get married and live happily ever after, and then she has the Beetlejuice baby. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not really expecting to get the say the Beetlejuice name 3 times sequel, but it sucked me in a little bit. They got me. I was happy with it. And Jamie G, did you like this, or do you consider it a fake out?
It was fine. I knew that it was just going to be her waking up, but I wasn't. They didn't get me with it. It was fine. I mean, they brought the baby back. Obviously, they liked the Beetlejuice baby, so they brought it back. I thought it was it was cool. There was nothing wrong with it, but
No, it didn't fool me. I definitely didn't think that was. I definitely thought that was going to be a dream sequence. When I was watching it, but I was okay with that. I kind of wanted it to be. I was like,
No, I know I did too. I was trying to will into existence. That's exactly what I was doing.
but no, I like it, and I love the way it's open for another one, man. So fingers crossed, man. Maybe we'll get one, man. I think it needs to. I think we need to get another one, man. Third Beetlejuice, dude.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, just don't say it 3 times. I guess that's kind of the main thing. Jamie G, you're usually our fashion guy. Let me ask you, Beetlejuice brings back, he's got his, you could ask who wore it better. You got my cousin Vinny, and then you have Beetlejuice here in kind of the turquoise or whatever it is, kind of suit here. Then you have the classic white and black stripe joint. What stands out for you better? You like the Beetlejuice getting married suit? You like his walking around white and black stripe joint?
the probably just the walking around white and black. But the Beetlejuice get married thing was cool. I wasn't a big fan of therapist Beetlejuice with the sweater, but I did enjoy the everyday walking black and white classics.
And I know I was a bigger fan of the, Bob than you, but all of Beetlejuice's minions were supposed to be modeled on the old 21st century real estate people. They had the gold blazers, the brown tie, that kind of thing. And we've seen that in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia by our own, Vic Vinegar and Hugh Honey. You got to have the gold blazer, the tie there, that kind of thing. Makes it very cool. And they were actually supposed to have Joey Chestnut be the dude who died of eating too many hot dogs, but it didn't work out for scheduling. So that's why there's a random dude in there who died with a bunch of hot dogs in his mouth.
Wait, who died with a bunch of hot dogs in their mouth, dude?
Dude, when you're looking to the underworld of the afterlife, at one point, one of the dudes on the bench is just a dude's got like a massive amount of hot dogs.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. There were a lot of cool ones like that, man. You would expect that out there. Like, you remember the first one? You got there was a lot of cool things, man. And I think it sized up. I think it equaled out, man. If not even some of them were better than the original one or the first one.
Jamie G, I know at one point you were involved in doing a little home brewing. Is it true that microbrews are only for people with tiny houses?
Not at all. The fact they're not for people with tiny houses because it takes a lot of space and a lot of equipment, and you need some space, man, for sure.
I think that's fair enough. In Soup, you're a real estate guy. Jamie G, you're a finance guy. Between the two of y'all, what is your opinion on the real estate chick dressing up as reverse mortgage, where she wears the sweater with mortgage backwards? Is that unique enough to get away with it? Is that like get out of my house, Karen? I'm not sure exactly what that is.
That's right there on the fence, man. You could take that.
That's
either
why it's good.
way.
I think that's pretty good. I think that's why it's pretty good. And Jamie G, this one's just for you, brother. What would be harder to navigate? The halls of Lumen or the underworld of Beetlejuice?
I think the Halls of Lumen for sure. They seem to do
Okay.
pretty good at Beetlejuice. You just run into a room and open a door, and it leads up to the regular world. So Yeah, I definitely think Lumen for sure.
Michael had assembled his dream team, and now it was time to wow his boss.
Excuse me, sir. Could you turn that off, please? Oh, I thought that was playing in here.
Been doing a thing here. We're gonna just tentatively call it the Dream Team, where we're just trying to put some other people into the flick, have a little bit of fun with it. So let's assume there's no worries about copyright, whatever, that kind of thing. We're just gonna say there's a spin-off from Beetlejuice, and it sets up the idea that the whole underworld here, the afterlife, it's its own show. In every week, you get different people coming on it as guest stars. You know, they just died. You got to figure out what's going on with them, and how would we work this in as far as the existing reality of the Beetlejuice movies and people we can add to it. Just trying to have a little bit of fun with this one. So I will go first here, and I will say, like, how fun would it be if you're doing this? You have an episode of the Afterlife. It's a Beetlejuice universe, and Kenny Powers shows up on a jet ski. He just got dead in a jet ski accident. He's just looking to party, and the whole episode he's just walking around trying to figure out what's going on, explain to people that he's Kenny Powers. I mean, how fun would that be? How about Clerks, man? Dante, very famously, he's not even supposed to be a quick stop today. What if he was just in the underworld, in the afterlife, and he's like, I'm not even supposed to be here. I am not even supposed to be here. I think there could be a lot of fun here.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody else you could add here? If you were going to do this little spin-off show, you're in the afterlife, whatever. Who'd be a fun guest person to show up, and why?
I got a couple here, man. I mean, I think Raul Duke showing up after he's taken too many drugs and not knowing how to get out would be absolutely hilarious. And and his trip continues in there. I think that would be a real fun one you could do a lot with. But how about just Snake Plissken showing up and he's just the whole thing is he's trying to escape, but he can't. That would be very cool. And then last one here for me. What if Tony Soprano shows up, after the final Sopranos show, and he's just like on a mission to try to import provolone and gabagool, and he's just not going to rest until he does, dude. The whole truckload of provolone.
I mean, how would be Christopher and Adriana just chasing each other around, right?
Yeah. But imagine Arthur Shelby. He does too much Tokyo Snow, and he ends up there, and he's just fighting everyone, yelling, I thought. Just be great.
Yeah, well, that would make for great television, I'm pretty sure. Soup, what do you got for us, brother?
Yeah, I'm going to start out going really off the grid here, and I'm going to say, man, let's see what Freddy Krueger does in the afterlife after the afterlife with the afterlife twist on it, dude, or however the fuck it happens with in the Krueger universe, man.
Yeah, he probably died a lot of different ways, so.
A lot of different ways, dude. Anyway, I also like, hey man, like let's say Pauly Shore ended up choking on somebody threw a cigarette butt in a chicken nugget in the funnel, and he was funneling and it choked on it and ended up choking.
Choked on a funnel, dude.
And dude, Pauly Shore in the afterlife, man, he's all choked up, but he's still the weasel. Hey.
Is he going out there in the desert and he's trying to do the weasel with the worms? I mean, I guess he could do that.
He probably would, and he'd be like, dude, why you harshing on my gig, man? Like he wouldn't dig the fucking worms, probably, man.
I guess if I had one fun one, maybe a team up, you get Donnie from The Big Lebowski and Big Ern McCracken from Kingpin. And just to say Big Ern died from like a mutant strain of syphilis because he was getting it in. And like they're on a bowling team in the afterlife, so someone stole their bowling balls and they need to find him before the championship. I think that could be fun. And how about Willy Wonka, dude? Let's say he drowned in liquid chocolate and they bring him in because like the underworld, the afterlife employees are trying to unionize. And Willy Wonka is the ultimate strike breaker. Like, do you think the Oompa Loompas had a union? I think not. Ain't no union, dude. Not in the Oompa Loompa world.
Those are some wild dream teams. It is time for us, though, to kick off the award tour, and in honor of Elaine Bennis, the creator of the second greatest system known to man, we always determine if our featured review is sponge-worthy.
So you think you're sponge-worthy?
Yes, I think I'm sponge-worthy. I think I'm very sponge-worthy.
You're nuts with these sponges.
Run down your case for me again.
She said I wasn't sponge-worthy. Wouldn't waste a sponge on me.
Give us an update here, Mills, on the sponge supply, and let us know if you think Beetlejuice is in fact sponge-worthy.
Jamie G, you and I are sitting flush at 6.5 sponges each. The Soup Deucer is at 2.5 sponges. And since I'm sitting pretty, I have them to spare. It's on the borderline, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give a sponge to Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, Jamie G, it's up to you. I don't think you're going to be as generous as I have been, but choice is yours.
Yeah, sitting pretty here. Couple sponges in my pocket, but this one just wasn't sponge worthy. I don't know that I'll watch this again. In my opinion, I don't think this movie should have been made. They did not do it justice. So no sponge for me. No
Nope,
sponge
it
for
cannot
you.
be officially worthy here. We need it to be unanimous to be worthy. But out of your 2.5 sponges, can you still spare one for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice?
You know, I'm gonna, because I appreciated the effort on this one and I enjoyed this movie. It was fun for me, man. And, you know, I could nitpick little things here and there, but overall, I think this movie was a success, man. And it didn't disgrace the first one, which is my fear for a lot of sequels and whatnot, especially over a long period of time. But I think this one was done right, man. And I'm hoping that there's gonna be a third and call it a trilogy and call it a day, you know.
So not unanimously worthy, but we didn't hate it.
All right. Well, it's time to get out our space wallets here because we're talking space bucks and we got to give a grade to Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Yes, we grade everything we watch on a scale of 0 to 100 space bucks. Soup, you're up first here. How many space bucks are you forking over for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice?
Well, see, here's where I'm going to go a little bit lighter, man. You know, I mean, I'll use a sponge, man, but sometimes it's like, with space bugs, I don't know, you know. I mean, you want me
Yeah,
to buy?
gas and tolls to consider. I mean,
Yeah, you know, and then it's like, you know, you already use a sponge. Now it's like I got to buy you a meal and a pack of smokes and, you know, who knows what else, a beer or two or some shit. Anyway, whatever. Do I want to spend the space bucks? Yeah, I'll spend some space bucks. You know, I think on Beetlejuice too. I'm gonna go ahead and give it like a good 90 space bucks, dude. You know, it was solid enough, and I had a good enough time with it to where it deserves a 90 space bucks, man.
fair enough. Jamie G. When we did the original Beetlejuice, Soup's holding about where he was. He was about at 90 space bucks on the first one. You were at 70 space bucks on the first Beetlejuice. Where are you at on Beetlejuice Beetlejuice?
You cheap bastard. 70 bucks on the sorry.
I'm going 37 space bucks. 37 space bucks
37.
because 37, and I'm doing that because I thought it sucked more than Veronica and Clerks.
Oh,
It's
he did not like that bad. I even gave a higher grade to the wrong Missy. I'm gonna try to probably middle a little bit here. I think it's sponge worthy, so I think it's probably got to be worth an 80. I'm going to give it 80 space bucks. I think that's enough to be sponge worthy. Probably not the most rewatchable flick, but honestly, it exceeded my expectations by a fair bit. So no complaints here. It kind of is what it is.
Dude, I actually think that the rewatch I went through it 2.5 times and then a couple of little fragments here and there. But I really think like in another, like whenever I go back to it and rewatch it again, I'm not gonna be like I'm not gonna watch this again. I'm definitely gonna rewatch this, and I feel like it'll get better on the rewatch. I think it's one that might get better on the rewatch, but we'll see. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm confident in my 80. So that's where we are at 90, 37, and 80.
At the end of the day, it's worth a watch, man. You know, and you tell us what you think.
There you go. And before we get into what we're watching next, it is time for the questions 3.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
3 questions. What if you get a question wrong?
Then you are cast into the gorge of eternal peril.
Ask me the questions. I am not afraid.
And we shall watch and pray.
This is the questions 3, and here is how it works. This week, I've written the questions for Jamie G and the Soup Deucer. Contestants are awarded 1 point for each correct answer. Whoever gets the most points wins. In the event of a tie, we have a tiebreaker or multiple tiebreakers if necessary. The winner gets a sponge, as do I, for writing the questions. And gentlemen, if you wish to cross the bridge of death, you must answer me these questions 3. Jamie G, we will go with you first here. And here's a little bit of a fun one. Michael Keaton reprised one of his roles from the 1990s in an uncredited cameo in the 1998 movie Out of Sight, starring J-Lo and George Clooney, based on an Elmore Leonard novel. Which role did he reprise? You can give me the character or the movie.
No idea.
Oh, Michael Keaton in the 90s. Guess a role or a movie.
Multiplicity. I have no idea.
Multiplicity. JBG, this is a fun one. After Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder broke up, how did Johnny Depp famously have his Winona Forever tattoo altered?
Man, I have no clue. He turned it into a
Brown beaver.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I don't think he did that. I'm gonna say he just turned it into a bottle of booze.
Bottle of booze. And finally, Jamie
These are
G.
so hard, dude. Jeez.
Multiple choice. Who is older, William Dafoe or Michael Keaton?
I'm gonna go with Michael Keaton.
Soup, you are up next. Question 1. Not only did Michael Keaton star in a bunch of 80s movies, he also starred in a semi-recent remake of a classic 1987 film in which he played the main villain. What movie remake was it? The title is the same, so.
What is it, like Pacific Heights or some shit? We'll go with that.
Pacific Heights. Okay.
That might have been a 90s movie. I might have fucked up. I don't know. Damn it.
Question 2. In what 1980s movie did Beetlejuice composer Danny Elfman appear in? You will know it. It's a movie from the 80s. Danny Elfman appeared in it.
Like any movie?
That Danny Elfman appeared in.
Shit, man. I want to say maybe he was in, like physically in, not just.
Yep, he's in it. He's in the flick. Maybe playing in the band, maybe doing the thing, but he's in the flick.
Big Fish.
Big Fish. And finally, you also get a multiple choice. Who was older at the time of the film's release? Winona Ryder in the original Beetlejuice or Jenna Ortega in Beetlejuice again? Who was older at the time of the original film's release?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ortega there, dude.
Jamie G. First off, we asked, Michael Keaton reprised one of his roles from the 90s in an uncredited cameo in a film starring J-Lo and George Clooney based on an Elmore Leonard novel. Obviously, this has to be from Jackie Brown. It was ATF agent Ray Nicolette. And we have seen that, obviously Karen Sisco from that flick has appeared on Justified. So it's, tangentially involved in the Justified universe. Soup, question 1, ask you, Michael Keaton, he was starred as the main villain in a remake of a major 1987 movie, and it was RoboCop. He was the new bad corporate dude in the RoboCop remake.
Fuck yeah, shit.
Jamie G, question 2. When Johnny Depp broke up with Winona Ryder, he had a Winona Forever tattoo. What did he change it to? Very famously, it was Wino Forever. Just got rid of a couple letters, just went to Wino Forever.
That's pretty close, dude. I mean, I said a big.
That's not bad. It's close, but no cigar. Close, but no cigar. And Soup, what 1980s movie did Beetlejuice composer Danny Elfman appear in? Dude, Back to School. Oingo Boingo was there, and he appeared as obviously.
Oh shit! Really?
Or Oingo Boingo in Back to School. You know that one, dude. Jamie G, who was older?
Up,
William Dafoe, Michael Keaton. You went with Keaton, and you are correct. Michael Keaton is 73 years old as we record this. William Dafoe is only 69, dudes. And Soup, you also went with an age question. Here we had, at the original time of the filming, who is older? Winona Ryder in the original Beetlejuice, Jenna Ortega in the sequel. You went with Ortega. You are correct. She is 21. Winona Ryder was actually only 16 at the time of
Holy
the
shit,
original
man.
Beetlejuice release. So we're going to need to have a tiebreaker, and you both should know the answer to this one already. It's going to depend on your ability to do math. Jamie G, you get to be up first here. How many days, and whoever gets the closest wins, no going over a penalty, just whoever gets closest wins. How many days have passed between the release of Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice? Not how many years, how many days?
I'm going to say 40,000.
Jamie G says 40,000 days. Soup, how many days between the release of the original Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice?
All right, well, I mean, there's 365 days in a year, you know, and then you got 35 years there. So you're looking at kind of a lot, man. Let's see. I'm trying to say, that's the thing, man, doing the math, dude. I got to say at least fucking, I don't know, like $5,000 or something.
5,000 days.
I'm not really a numbers guy.
Dude, this question doesn't really work though, because he had more time to think about it than I did. So I dispute this.
I wasn't really thinking about it though, because
he had a huge. I think that you should throw away. It should be another question because he had more time to think about it, man. Going second here, you got time to do all the math in the head. I way shot it.
You're right, but you know what? I failed.
Like 10,000 or 11,000. It's not 40,
you know, like, did you overshoot or?
Yeah, he did. He did
I just got nothing to answer. I'm in suspense here, man. You know.
All right. So we will go with it. We will go with an alt here. All right. We will go with the same kind of thing, but I'm going to ask for a specific date. You can, you'll obviously just want to probably give a year.
Dude, can I know the answer to the last question though, man? I gotta know.
It's 10,000 something, 11,000.
13,309 days.
What did I get?
March 30th, 1988, you had 5,000. You would have been close.
I undershot it big time, man.
Well, I way overshot it.
Neither you we even said 30 years, 35 years during. So using either one of those, I only did it.
I like
that.
I
only did it because I did add a little bit. All right, so here we're just gonna go. I know y'all are gonna want to give just a year, but I'm gonna need a specific date because whoever gets closer wins. On what date did the first episode of Beavis and Butthead air? I'm not talking about their appearance on liquid television. The first episode of Beavis and Butthead on MTV. Soup, I'll go to you first this time. What do you think, man? When did the first episode of Beavis and Butthead, the animated cartoon, air on MTV?
I'm going with 91.
Give me a date.
A date?
Yeah, because it's got to be closer. I got to be specific.
Holy fuck!
Just pick a date, dude. Just pick a date, like June 20.
Yeah, man. Let's go. March 20. Fucking April 1st. April 1st, 1991, dude.
4/1/91. Jamie G. When did the first episode of Beavis and Butthead air again? Not the shorts on liquid television. The actual first episode of Beavis and Butthead. Soup went April 1st, 1991.
I'm going to go, I think it was a little bit later than that. I'm going to go 1994. And yeah, because that sounds about right.
Give me a date. Then some date.
I'm going to say, dude, I'm going to say we're in March. I'm going to say today's date, March 16th, 1994.
Jamie G wins. It was March 8th, 1993.
Fucking you cocksucker. That was close, though. Yeah,
you were close, dude. You're in there with April.
They did appear on liquid television, but that was, obviously they've appeared in many things. But when they got their own independent animated show on MTV, the first episode aired Monday, March 8th, 1993. And I remember trading them joints around on VHS. Like literally recording it on VHS and like trading it with people. That's all.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's old. Wow. So 1990. Yeah, I guess we were right in the middle.
Congratulations, Jamie G. You were very, very close.
Yeah, man, congrats, dude. Good. We were close on that one. I like that.
We were close on that one. That was good.
Close call.
Y'all are very close, and just for super fun. I don't think either y'all would ever actually get this question, but it would super impress me if you would.
Oh, now I have to.
What Weird Al Yankovic video did Drew Carey appear in? Can either of y'all get that?
Amish Paradise.
I like to guess Amish Paradise, Jamie G.
No, it's something really vague. It's not what you think. It's not one of the bigs. It's yeah, I don't know, but it's not
It's
one
P.
of
Diddy oriented. I'll even give you that. It's P. Diddy oriented.
Oh, it's all about the pendant. Not all. It's all about the Benjamins.
It's all about the Pentiums. Yep, that is
Yeah, all
what
about
it
the
is.
Pentiums. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't count, but that was just a fun little bit there. So yeah, whatever, Jamie G, you won by getting closer, but I think we had fun. We all learned a little something, and you have more sponges that whatever you don't have to use unless you really like what we do next.
We're trying to get to a movie.
You better get going. You don't want to miss 1 second of that movie.
Is it that good?
It's the best goddamn movie I've ever seen in my life. Dude hangs dumb.
I told you!
That.
We might not be doing anything specific for St. Patrick's Day, but in the spirit of having a good time, let's go bowling. You don't want to be the one who gets Munsoned out here in the middle of nowhere, so make sure you don't miss our next episode where we're talking about Kingpin, starring Woody Harrelson, Bill Murray, Randy Quaid, amongst others. This thing is top-notch. So excited to do this one. Soup, this was originally your pitch, so go ahead and get us excited for Kingpin.
Yeah, I'm stoked on it, man. I didn't know we were. I didn't know we were 100%.
We've sprung it upon you, dude. Just we're doing your joint.
Spring has sprung, dude. Beware the Ides of March and all. Yeah, dude. Cool, man. I am down with Kingpin. Yeah, it was an original pitch, but I think both you guys are on board to to get into this one and give it a relook. We both seen it, which is cool, but it's fun to go back to one of these, watch it and talk about it. So I'm looking forward to that, dude. And I haven't seen it in a hot minute. I know there's a lot of really good content through the entirety of this movie. Like, there's not a dull scene. I don't think it's one of those. It's the Farrelly brothers in their prime, dude. So definitely looking forward to rewatching this one, man, and getting with you guys on flapping back and forth about it. So yes, stoked for it, man.
Now, these two pinheads will teach each other about life in the fast lane.
You're about to embark on a great adventure.
Does anyone else want one?
I'll take a couple jugs.
Not much beats the Big Earn commercial where the kid's like, sometimes I wake up and Big Earn's already here.
Yeah.
Bill Murray snapped so good, dude. Just shout out Big Earn. Like, it's a low key Bill Murray. A lot of people might not put it down by Bill Murray, but man, you got peak Bill Murray, peak Woody Harrelson,
best
peak Randy
fucking comb over ever.
Oh,
Drew McCracken, dude. You got the comb over, dude. Woody's is great too, but Big Earn's is a little bit more wild. It's more Gene Wilder-ish, it's more Willy Wonka.
Oh, yeah, as he makes his strikes, it keeps getting, more extreme and more extreme. And yes,
it's
everything
gonna be
about
awesome. This is gonna make me want to go bowl, but more importantly, we're gonna be able to talk about all the laughs throughout the whole movie, and there is a bunch in there, and maybe, just maybe, we'll jar something loose. Thank you guys for checking out another episode of Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We're just regular dudes watching stuff, talking about it right here. Get at us, man. What did you think about Beetlejuice? You check out any of the other suggestions that we mentioned. Do you have a suggestion? Let us know. Best way to do it is throw the thumb and subscribe, and then drop a comment below, or Mills will let you know where you can find us on social media. You can always get at us there. Get at us, dog. Mills, hit them with the deets.
Thanks again for checking out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com. Try to keep it nice and easy to remember, just like those flaps. Keep it free and clear, just like a bird flying through the sky. That's the word. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure that you've hit the thumb. We're just the dudes doing the dude thing. Thank you very much.
Thanks again for checking out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We're just dudes being the dude, talking about the dude. El Duderino.
If you're into the whole brevity thing, man, but you know what? Dudes abide.
Words cards left under babies in your hands, and the old man playing checkers by the trees. This park is melting in the dark, all the sweet green icing flowing down. Someone left the cake out in the